Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial for Joutai. This is a quick guide to get you started. If you want to dig deeper, you're going to have to look at the code. So let's get started. I've created a brand new Unity project. There's nothing in there. And what you want to do is you need to go to your assets folder, find out where your assets folder is. And in there, you would need to essentially check out the project. So go to the GitHub page and just clone it. That's, I think, the easiest way to. So just go to Joutai inside assets and just say git clone and just say clone it here so that it doesn't create another directory, and then immediately you should have in your assets the folders the way they're supposed to be, the editor and the scripts folders. So let's go ahead and remove these two. So what's inside the scripts, you should have the state script, and that's the parent script. And I also have a couple of examples that I'm going to show right now. First of all, I'm going to show you the instruction state. That is a state I created, which basically just shows instructions. We mostly do behavioral experiments with Unity, so we just want to show participants some instructions before the experiment starts. So I'm gonna go ahead first of all and create an empty object, because that's where the state machine lives. You can put it anywhere you want. And in that state machine object, I'm gonna put this script. And immediately you can see here that it's already activated. So what states do is that they have a needed objects array. And in there, you must tell the state which objects you want to be active in your screen when the state is active. And in this case, let's create a cube and a sphere. So this state will activate the objects you tell it to activate right here, and it will disable everything else except the camera. So in order for our state to not activate everything, we're going to tag some objects, and we're going to tag them using the tag called permanent. So this, when something is tagged, the state will ignore it, and it will not disable it. So let's tag the light as permanent, and the state machine can also be permanent. And what we're going to do now is we're going to tell the state machine here what object it needs. So it needs a cube, of course. Let's say that this state requires a cube, and also because it's a state that displays text, we're going to have a canvas, and this canvas is going to render some text to the camera, and this text object is let's make it a bit wider so we can display big text. So this first state, the instruction state, needs the canvas and it needs the text object. Canvas, text object, and the cube, and then also it's going to show some instructions. So let's say hello world final, and the text pane is this one. So if we go ahead and run this now, this state should make everything vanish except for the cube. There we go. The sphere is disabled, as you can see here. Only the cube is active and the other objects that the state needs. So let's go ahead and add another state, see how it works. Let's add this countdown state, and this state again is a state that needs to render some text. Let's say this state is going to show the sphere instead of the cube, and it needs to know the canvas. It needs to enable the canvas, the text, and also reference to the text object. So 3-second countdown timer. This is also used, but you don't need to. You only click one of the states. So you only enable one of the states, the one that you want to be the entry point. If you want to start with this one, fine, and it will just continue downwards from there. But in this case, we want to start from this state, and we're going to go down. So let's now run this. There you see, we are on the first state, and if I click, I'm cycling between these here, and then we're going to this state automatically after it's finished. And now that this state is gone, it's over, it's not longer active. So that's what it does. It goes from one state to the next one. And finally, let's just test a final state. Let's add another instruction state here. And that's also used. And this actually is enabled if you want to not use one of the states, you can just disable this. This is fine. And then it's going to be skipped. When the time comes for the state to transition here, it's going to skip it and it's going to go to the next one. That's what this does. And we can just copy the components of this state. Just paste the values here. And second instruction state by. Again, another instruction state. So if we run it now, we should see the cube because that's what it needs. And then on the other state, you're going to see the sphere. And on the final state, you're going to see, oh, you're not going to see anything because I haven't enabled the needed objects. Let's say cube again, canvas, and the text, because these are all states that are required to render text. So let's go ahead and run it. Hello world final, and then it should transition to this one. There we go. It's counting down, and then finally it transitions to the instruction state, and then we can click again, read the instructions. Goodbye, and now it's over. That's what it does. It transitions from one state to another. So now to show you the inside of the code, and I'm going to begin with this countdown state to explain. So this countdown state, as you can see, it inherits from state. It needs the text pane, and it has a countdown timer. And it overrides on enable because you need to add some more. You call the parents enable, and then you do your own things. And then you update on every frame. You change the timer, and you display the new text of the timer, and if the timer has gone to negative, it means the timer is over. Then you advance state. This is what you need to call to advance to the next state. Let's check at the instruction state. It's a bit more complicated. It's holding an array of the text that it's going to display. It's going to cycle through that using this index. When it's enabled, it will set the text pane to the default, the first of the array. And then what it does is that if the mouse is pressed, it will advance using this index to the next array. If there is nothing more, it will advance to the next state, or it will just keep displaying text so long as you have it. Let's take a look at the state. This Boolean variable is essentially this variable right here, if you want to be used or unused. But I'm hiding it in the inspector. This is the array that holds the object it needs, and in here, on enable. So when the state is enabled, it cycles through all the objects and it only enables the ones it needs. And this is the advanced code to move to the next state, and regress, if you want to call that, go back to the previous state if you have a need for that. So pretty much that's it. If you want to make a custom state, you inherit from state, and then you just override whichever functions you need to override. That's it. Feel free to add any comments or issues, and I'll try to address them as soon as possible. Thank you.